Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Public Works Committee for Monday, August 31st at 5:15. I'm going to go ahead and call roll. Whoop, we still here? Call roll. Is Councilmember Henderson here? Councilmember Henderson. Councilmember Allen.
Here.
Councilmember Benedict.
Present.
Councilmember Bradford.
Present.
Councilmember Evans.
Present.
Member Gamble. Councilmember Gamble. Councilmember Hall. That roar, I think that was yes. Present. Councilmember Hurd. Chair's here. Councilmember O'Connell. Councilmember Roten.
I'm here, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Young. Councilmember Young. Okay. Is Councilmember Henderson showed up? Councilmember Gamble. Councilmember Hall. Councilmember Hurd. Councilmember Young. Director Cooper, I have 7 members present, including the chair. Is that your count?
Yes, it is, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I will begin with the motion. Pursuant to Governor Lee's Executive Order number 16 regarding electronic meetings, as extended by Executive Orders number 34 and 51, I make a motion that this committee meeting agenda constitutes essential business of the Metropolitan Council, and that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. I have a motion.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor vote by saying aye.
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 Any against? The last meeting I was on, they went and did a consent agenda, so I've tried to put one together. I'm going to go ahead and list those things I have on consent. And so if you'll go along in your agenda with me, first one is RS 2020-510, Toombs, Hager, and others. The second is RS 2020-512, Syracuse, Toombs, and others. RS 2020-513, Johnston, Coombs, and others. Bill 2020-408, Syracuse, Hager, and others.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Could this Councilwoman Henderson, I apologize, as a member too tardy for the role, but could you please read the caption of the bills so that we'll know the content of the bill on consent?
I intended to do that after we listed the
okay, got it.
Consent.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome. And let me mark you present. Bill number 2020-408, Syracuse, Hager, and others. Bill 2020-409, Young, Hager, and others. Bill 2020-412, Sledge, Mendez, and others. And Bill 2020-413, Nash, Mendez, and others. Bill 2020-414, Hager, Murphy, and others. Bill 2020-415, O'Connell, Murphy, Henderson. Bill 2020-416, by Van Rees, Murphy, and Henderson. And that's all I have marked. Is there anybody that wants any of those taken off consent? Okay, then let me go ahead and read all those captions. RS 2020-510 Toombs, Hager, and others accepts a hazard mitigation grant from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Metro Water and Sewage Services and authorize the acquisition and demolition of 3 houses located in various floodplains in Davidson County. Resolution RS 512 approves Amendment 1 to an agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Metro Public Works for the acceptance of work in connection with the construction of a sidewalk on Lebanon Pike, State Route 24, from McGavick Pike to Old Lebanon Pike. Resolution RS 2020-513, Johnston, Toombs, and others, approves Amendment 1 to an amendment between the Tennessee Department of Transportation, Metro Public Works for the acceptance of work in connection with the construction of sidewalks along the south side of Harding Place from Danby Drive to Nolensville Pike. Bill number 2020-408, Syracuse, Hager, and others, accepts a greenway conservation easement on property located at 2841 Lebanon Pike, owned by AT3 Markham East, LLC. Bill 2020-409, Young, Hager, and others, accepts a greenway conservation easement on certain property located at 0 North Graycroft Avenue, owned by the Testamentary Trust of Emmanuel Shatton. Bill number 2020-412, Sledge, Mendez, and others, authorizes the acquisition of certain right-of-way easements, drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and the property rights by negotiation or condemnation for purposes of Public Works Project Volks Lane sidewalk improvements. Bill 2020-413, Nash, Mendez, and others, authorizes the acquisition of certain right-of-way easements, drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and property rights by negotiation or condemnation for purposes of Public Works Project Brewer Drive sidewalk improvements. Bill 2020-414, Hager, Murphy, and others, abandons a portion of unnumbered alley right-of-way and easement from center northeastward. Bill 2020-415, O'Connell, Murphy, Henderson, abandons a portion of the southeast corner of Union Street and Rosa L. Parks Avenue right-of-way and easement. Bill 2020-416, Van Rees, Murphy, and Henderson, abandons existing public sanitary sewer manhole and easements, and to accept new sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for property located at 415 Madison Station Boulevard. That's the consent agenda. Do I have anyone that needs to pull any of those off? Going once, going twice. Do I have a motion?
The consent agenda.
And any discussion? Going once, going twice. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, consent agenda 8-0. Next, I need to back up a little bit. I don't have a chair report. I would like to say thank you to Chairman Henderson for sending us kind of an update on some notes about water she had. And I encourage you all to see those and say thank you for hoping taught me something over the past year. You've set a high bar, and I thank you for that, and I look forward to your continued help and support. And are there anybody on the staff, Metro staff, that would like to be recognized and share anything with us before we get any deeper in the agenda?
Chair, this is Shanna Whitelaw with Public Works. May I be recognized?
You may.
I just would like to give everyone an update, a brief update on what's going on with trash collection. I think everybody probably is, I don't want to say no one's forgotten trash collection because it's been such a hot topic, but it has improved over the last several weeks. I hope everyone has recognized that, but our work is not done. So I just wanted to give everyone a brief update that we have been working with Red River per the resolution that was passed about a month ago to work toward a long-term solution, which would include a 5-day plan. So I'm hopeful to be before this committee and before council at either next meeting or the meeting after that with the proposal, and we'll be working with everyone as necessary for that. The other thing is we did also roll out to council members a trash map, as I like to call it, which indicates what the status of the trash routes are for each day. So if you did not get a link to that map, please contact Sharon Smith with Public Works, and she can get you that link that will help you, we hope. Hopefully you won't need it. Hopefully trash is getting picked up and you don't need the map. But if you do, it is out there in order to provide communication. So with that, I just wanted to thank everyone for their patience. And if you have any questions regarding trash, I'm happy to answer those at this time.
Anyone on the committee have a question or comment for Ms. Whitelaw?
Chair.
Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you. Director Whitelaw, can you share with us if there's any update particular to the transfer station and our contract there? I know that was kind of a key piece of the puzzle, and maybe less so if we move to 5-day, but can you speak to transfer stations specifically?
Yes, ma'am, I can. We have looked at the transfer station. As some folks know, we have an exclusive contract with Republic Waste for the transfer of our waste. And if for those who aren't as familiar with it, Red River is the collection service, and then they take the trash to our transfer station, which is off of Omohundro, over near the water plant, as a matter of fact. And then from there, Republic is charged with removing it and sending it off to the landfill. So as part of our due diligence, we did look at that contract with Republic, as well as an opportunity to use Waste Management, which has a transfer station down on the southeast side. Unfortunately, our contract will not allow for us to use another service provider. So we are with Republic, and we do have a very good relationship with Republic. So as part of the 5-day plan, we do believe that that will be the best way to solve that issue.
Anybody else? Ms. Benedict, Councilmember Benedict.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Whitelaw, I have a follow-up to that, and as well as a second question. So first on, you mentioned that we can't change that contract to add a second provider for the transfer. Is that, how could we possibly, is there a way that we can amend that agreement? What would prevent us, what are the terms that are stopping us from being able to find an additional service provider that would help us improve our constituent services?
Yes, well, two things. One, the reason the price or the contract is exclusive and is because that is the way to get the best pricing. So in many ways, you look at service and you want to have competition, but when you're looking at things like large volumes of trash collection, trying to have a competition is not necessarily the best because it's about volume. So the more volume that you have, the better the price you can get, which is why the contract does have an exclusivity to it, I should say. So trying to break that contract might not be in our best interest. We did look at it, but we're not sure that we would get any better price from Waste Management. And in fact, some cost estimates had suggested that it might be actually more, even though for a short period of time, it would provide some relief on the southeast side.
Thank you. And that last point really is of concern. So is the transfer station for Republic, let me back up. I know that we've talked about a couple of different issues in the trash pickup. One is that we're on 4 days, not 5 days. So I know you're looking at that. You just said that. The second is that their trucks are getting more full because of COVID, and residential waste is higher than what it typically would be. Is Republic feeling the same thing at their transfer station? As in, are they also filling up more quickly? In which case, do we need a contingency contract perhaps with Waste Management? Something to handle anything that Republic can't handle? Or is Republic at this point able to handle everything we're sending their way?
Yes, that's a really good question. Republic is able to handle everything that we have. There was a small hiccup on not this past Friday, but the Friday before when it was pouring down rain, and we had what I'd call a minor traffic jam around noon with several providers there. But overall, throughout the day, and they've extended their hours on Saturday to support collection on Saturdays as well, they can handle what we have.
Okay, excellent. Then it doesn't sound like we need a second provider then. So then my second, Chair, if I may, if you will please indulge me, I had one other question, trash-ish related. I know as we look at 5 days, what impact are we looking at to the community on recycling? Are we looking at changing those days as a part of a reorganization on pickup to expanding to 5 days?
Well, thanks for spoiling my big announcement and my thunder there, council member. But yes, we are. One of the things we are looking at is if we're going to go to 5 days, then it does make sense to let's realign our recycling agenda and our recycling plan for the hope of every other week recycling that was hoped for in the past but was not able to be funded for this year. So as we're going to change people's dates and times or days of the weeks, we looked at this and have decided that it would make sense for us to go ahead and realign everything for a 5-day recycling, as well as plan for the future for every other week recycling. So this could be a very large and will be a large push out of communication to all of our constituents who have recycling and trash pickup to make sure that we align for the future.
Thank you for that. I would just, one last comment is if as you're looking at that, my constituents around here, we don't have much room for the bins along the sides of the streets here in District 7, and they are completely open to, based on what I've heard from them, having different days for trash and recycling, as that would help with the number of bins that are along the roadways. So with that, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We will take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. Council Member Evans. You have your hand up.
Thank you. I don't have a direct question for Director Whitelaw, but I wanted to transition to Metro Water. And so if we want to, I don't know if anybody else has something that's relevant to trash collection that they'd like to ask.
Council Member Henderson, I see your hand still up.
I apologize, Chair. I could not see that when I clicked it, it was up. My bad.
That's okay. Do it all the time. Thank you. I guess all the questions on the trash are done. Director Whitelaw, is there anything else you wanted to share?
Nope, that's all that I have for today. Thank you.
Well, great. We thank you for your time and all your work. And I know for at least for the constituents in 27, the last couple of weeks, the trash collection's been 100%. Thank you. Councilmember Evans, a water question.
Yes, I had emailed Sonia last night just with some questions that I'd gotten with some residents related to Metro water bills. And I know, and thank you to Councilwoman Henderson for that summary that you provided to all of us. I, like many people, had my bill go up, but discovered it was my own usage that was the problem. And I understand that, there are a lot of other residents that had surprises based on their usage. But a couple questions that have come up just since we received our most recent bills, really about if a resident calls in to Metro Water and they want to discuss their bill and insists that they didn't have increased usage, what really happens then? Does Metro Water then refer to the resident to follow up with a plumber, or does Metro Water do any further assessment to determine if there's a leak or something like that?
Councilman Nash, this is John Honeysucker. Would it be okay to speak?
It would be. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So, Councilmember Evans, what we do typically, I want to go through just a very brief scenario. When someone calls in with concern about their water bill, what they do typically with customer service is that they'll look at the water bill, they'll take the time to doing a proper analysis with them. If it's something that they can't agree on, typically to move it to escalate to another level, we will have someone in our meter shop. Typically, they'll go out and check for some type of leak. What that involves is going out. The meter tech typically goes in, look at the meter, basically try to encourage them to have everything turned off. If the meter's still moving in any shape, form, or fashion, that's typically a leak. From that point, we will refer them to check with their plumber to see if there's any type of, if they could determine. A lot of times we take for granted that our toilets automatically stop when we flush them. That's not always the case. Sometimes there's a leaky float, that floater inside that leaks, and it'll continue to run. So if a meter tech is out there looking at it, it's going to show movement on that meter. So what will happen then is they need to make a change within that. Those little small leaks like that do add up substantially. Okay, so those are the things that we will take into consideration up front to try to help them walk through a situation that's going on right now. Did that kind of give you a brief tonight? I don't want to take a lot of time on that.
It does, and I'll hit the highlights. I've got two other questions, and so maybe you can answer these as well, or redirect me. But now that the new bills have been issued and people are starting to receive those, are you all able to tell like how many residents had maybe a spike in July, but now with their increased awareness, it's gone back to maybe a pre-July level? If there's a certain percentage of the county that have had that experience. And then the other question was on the news story that Sonia was on last week, I think Thursday, the interview. One of the things that the reporter mentioned is that Metro Water doesn't track billing complaints. And so I was just interested in knowing, is that something that you're considering doing for the future? And that's it.
Okay. On the billing complaints, checking it, I will check with Sonia. I know that's something that we're going to have an internal discussion about, that we probably need to utilize doing something like that so we can better assess, is that an isolated area that is a major concern, or if it's not. So I think that's a great idea, something we definitely have taken it. We're going to take internally and convene about to see if we can do that. The other question you had in regards to the billing, I think it was a billing spikes or something.
Yeah. Basically, if there's a percentage, like, are you able to assess or to come back to us with any data point to say, 75% of the people who had a, high July bill, their August bill is back to, pre-July levels or something like that? I didn't know if you are able to dig or provide that kind of level of assessment on, where people's bills end up and that kind of thing that we could share with residents too.
Absolutely. And what I'll do, I'll make a commitment to you. If we can have at the next council meeting, I would like to get with our team to have you all, actually you'll have it prior to the next council meeting for you to review and look at. And if you have any questions then, we could then proceed to answer that at that time. But we will get you a report we have internally. Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Thank you. That's all I had.
Council Member Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would ask Mr. Honeysucker if he wouldn't mind just having if there's a way to share screen and let us all look at a water bill together, because the water bill shows 12 months of usage on there. And, you know, sometimes if you can point that out to your constituents, that they can see what the pattern of use was and that they can see that this month was the exact same CCF as it was 12 months before. That can be helpful information, and it can, you know, help them understand that just in the months when you sprinkle, it's a big difference from the winter months when you don't. But if perhaps as part of his report, he could actually do a demo for us, that would help us, I think, be better educators to our constituents.
Yes, ma'am. I'll make sure we include that in there, Councilor.
Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. Council Lady Allen, be sure to look at your inbox just in the last half hour or so. Ms. Allman did update the How to Read Your Bill PDF that's online to add some specific language with this tiered structure, because when these first bills hit, that online resource wasn't actually updated, albeit, I mean, there were great resources online, but they have kind of reorganized some of that. And so that's a good place to kind of send folks. And Mr. Honeysucker, just to follow on Ms. Councilwoman Evans' request, if you'll recall, Ms. Allman responded to me on the 28th of August, but some of my questions were similar to Ms. Evans around, like, kind of what are the patterns of the calls that you're getting, you know, and kind of could you report back on that? I mean, are people insistent upon that they must have a leak? How many people are asking for you to come out for that? How many people are satisfied? Oh, it's usage. And one other specific question I've gotten from several constituents, and I think it was a little bit of a thread on Nextdoor. I'm personally not on Nextdoor to know, but people had spoken to kind of a black chip or reader piece, something that is on the box. And so I don't know if this was some, you know, trying to find a logic of, oh, all of us who have higher bills, it's because we have this black disc on our water box. But I just have constituents wanting to know what that is. I personally don't have one. I know that my meter is read remotely, and that sometimes we have, you know, manual meters and remote meters, and there has been some intimation that, you know, there must be a citywide flaw in the meter readers or something like that. So if we could maybe get a little more specificity or response on, you know, kind of what the technology is out there and how the meters are read, because I think there is some concern, you know, that there's, you know, as people start to kind of chime in a social media way, things kind of take hold that aren't necessarily accurate. So if you would look back at that email I had to Ms. Allman, because it's in line with what Councilwoman Evans was asking.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I will make sure that that's notated, and we'll have that information to the council.
Okay, looking, Councilmember Van Rees.
Hello, thank you for recognizing me and congratulations on the chairmanship. I'm not on the committee, but I wanted to chime in on behalf of a lot of people that are under the Madison Suburban Utility District, as well as in Bellevue, that their water bills are different. And so to be mindful whenever you speak about your water bill, that means something different to a lot of different people, and encourage the chair or others on this committee to reintroduce themselves to those other utility committees and ask for similar documentation from them.
Duly noted. Maybe you can email me with some of those contacts, and we can talk about some of the different water sources.
Absolutely. I don't know if there's anybody on your committee in the Bellevue area or not, but I know that Councilmember Benedict also represents a large portion of Madison Suburban Utility as well. So happy to assist in any way. But if you don't have somebody from Bellevue, you know people that are from there, so we can make that happen.
Okay, thanks. Any other staff members wishing to share anything with us? Going once, going twice. Thank you, Mr. Honeysucker. Always a pleasure. And we'll get back to the agenda then. Resolution RS 2020-450, Druffel, Mendez, and others. Approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and Metro Public Works for the reimbursement of railroad crossing safety improvements at Post Road railroad crossing. And I do have a letter asking for a 1 meeting deferment. That contract is still, I think it's pretty well negotiated, but the improvements and the extra costs, they haven't got all the signatures on the contract yet, and that should be prepared by a next meeting, according to Mr. Druffel. Is there anything you wanted to add, Councilmember Druffel? Are you here with us? I don't see Councilmember Druffel. Could I get a motion for a 1 meeting deferral? I guess it's audible.
1 meeting deferral.
Second.
Thank you. A motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Over saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Any abstentions? 1 meeting deferral, 8-4-0 again.
Councilmember Nash, this is John Cooper. I would note that Councilmember Hurt has joined us on the meeting now. So I have Hurt being present.
Okay. Hurt and Toombs. Thank you for that. Welcome. Let's see. Council Lady Toombs is not one of our members.
No, I just said Hurt to join.
Oh, okay. Then I'll make that a 9-0. Welcome, Council Lady Hurt.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, bills on second reading. Bill 2020-390, Mendez, Murphy, and Henderson. Grants a franchise to Google Fiber Tennessee LLC to construct, operate, and maintain a fiber optic communication system within Metro Nashville under the provision of the Metro Code of Laws. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Do we have a sponsor wishing to speak to this?
Mr. Chair, I believe for administrative reasons, I'm a co-sponsor on this, and I know there were some questions, I believe, in Public Works Committee that made this deferred by rule last time, and so I was not able to participate in, I apologize, in Budget and Finance. So I don't know if those concerns were addressed there. Colleagues, if you'll remember, I asked Terry Costonis to kind of prepare us a primer on franchise agreements, and that's in our Public Works Committee OneDrive. This one seems to be somewhat anomalous to me, or not necessarily. It's just that some franchise agreements are set up in some way. This is amending a current one. And so, I do see that Google is represented here. So, I would just be interested in giving them the floor to share why this matters before us.
Mr. Chairman, this is Alexander Smith, and requesting if it's okay permission to speak.
Please do.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much to each of the committee members for allowing us to appear this afternoon and to provide a little bit more context on the draft bill. So the reason that this bill is coming before Metro Council is because Google Fiber, traditionally in Nashville, has offered 3 different types of products. The first and most important is our internet service, which is really the core part of our business. The second is linear traditional television services, so the dozens of channels and regular TV services that we all expect. And the third is phone services. So at the moment, as we build our public infrastructure, we need to deploy part of that into Metro's public rights of ways. And at the moment, that access is granted, as Councilwoman Henderson mentioned, through the Tennessee state franchise, which is granted attached to the TV service that we provide to Nashville residents. What we've seen, however, is that in recent years, Nashville's residents are evidently very forward-thinking, and the take-up rate of our TV services has been very, very low. And I would say low single digits is, really what we've seen consistently, and it continues to go down. What we're really starting to see in Nashville is that folks are opting to have more choice, and they're opting for cheaper options to consume content. Things like Netflix, HBO streaming services, linear TV services, over the air, things like YouTube TV, etc. And so as part of that, we really want to meet the market where it is and recognize that people want to pay less and recognize that people want more choice. And part of that for us means that we're moving out of the traditional linear TV business model and really going to focus on what we do best, which is offering ultra-fast, high-speed internet services. I say all of that because it explains the rationale for what we're trying to do here, and that is shifting off of the state-based franchise that grants us access to Metro's right-of-ways to deploy our network to the Metro-level franchise for fiber optic communication lines, because we are moving away from that TV product. And this will really allow us to, operate under Nashville Metro's code in the sort of standard form we've used, as we just explained to the Budget and Finance Committee, the same sort of payment methodology that they've used with other providers. And really for us, it means that as an internet company, we can focus on what we do best, which is providing internet services.
Thank you for that summary. Any committee members wishing to speak, ask questions? Go ahead, Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you. Can you share with us what the annual franchise agreement will be? And then can you also share with us what you are paying by way of franchise agreement in peer cities where you're also deploying similarly?
Sure.
Similarly, that's a funny word.
No problem. So the fee calculation that's being used by by Nashville Metro has come to a total of $15,198. The underlying methodology has, from what we found out as we began these discussions with Metro officials, particularly in legal and public works, is it has a very lengthy history of litigation with other providers that led to this methodology, which is really based on the occupancy and the volume, specifically in cubic feet, that any provider of infrastructure services has in Metro Nashville's right-of-way, and then it applies a calculation methodology based off what has previously been agreed by Metro officials. And so the process that we went through here was really to look at the length of our existing deployments, look at the different volumes that are included in the Metro right-of-ways from where we've got our fiber optic lines, include important things, for safety reasons like clearance zones, which prevent building, side by side with other pieces of infrastructure, to come up with that total volumetric calculation that then provides you with the financial number. This is one of the first markets where we have moved to an internet first approach. In other metros, it does differ state by state and city by city. So for example, we have services that we offer just over in North Carolina. And in North Carolina, we're also under a state-based franchise, and there's almost like a de minimis fee that's attached to that. In other metros, it is a similar model, but it's in terms of it's proportional to your network activity. And in other metros, that will, for example, be a percentage of the revenue that comes in, which is generally a low single-digit percentage of revenue as well. And that piece has been, again, I don't want to speak on behalf of Nashville Metro Legal, but something that was really heavily litigated with other providers historically, which has meant that Nashville itself has pivoted to this new model, which we're very happy to follow. And we've also understood that in the event that Nashville, as a community, decides to update its revenue structure, that what's built into this agreement is that we would, of course, work with Metro and transition to the new calculation methodology, which I understand has been in the works for a while now as well.
So just to clarify the second part of my question, what are you paying by way of franchise agreement in other peer cities? So I think some people might be somewhat incredulous that to work within our right-of-way, our 532 square miles, you're going to pay Nashville $15,000 a year. Some people might think like, wow, that doesn't really seem to be commensurate with the impact. So if you can speak to peer cities, recognizing that some are under state franchise or otherwise, but just so we understand the landscape. And then also, what are, just for the public's edification, your commitment by way of permitting, use of right-of-way, restoration and maintenance. When you do get into our sidewalk infrastructure or roadway infrastructure, what is your responsibility as to restoration and mitigation? We've looked at, I think, with similar utilities, often the challenge of, putting it back kind of as is, but sometimes as is substandard to our current standards, because we have improved our sidewalk regulations. So, we've seen a lot with fiber optic providers, not just Google, many, where they're kind of coming into the right of way. Then you've got another company that's almost sort of chasing you all, right? Like, here comes Google, so we're going to come behind. And we just see infrastructure kind of torn up again and again. And so that has been something that we as council members get a lot of negative feedback on. And so, what you're often hearing from our constituents is, we want to feel like corporations who are working within our public right-of-way are, engaged and kind of paying a commensurate, value to the impact. And so, again, $15,000 a year doesn't, again, I'm talking about perception, maybe based on the calculation, that's fair. So, that's kind of the context landscape, but then also, again, please do answer that peer city question. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for the follow-up question, Council Member. So in terms of peer cities, we currently generally leverage the existing video service franchises, as I mentioned, where we are still offering TV service. And that is, generally speaking, either a flat fee or it is a percentage of revenue fee structure. In other metro areas where we also, it's similar to what Nashville will be transitioning towards, really focus on the internet first approach. That we see other models, for example, where we also offer a percentage of revenue, which has happened previously in Nashville Metro, but really, as we've worked with the city, has been deemed as not being an option, given that it has been ruled to be unlawful under Tennessee state law. In terms of the second part of your question, Council Member, we also pay, the standard application permit fees, which I will say, compared to other cities, much higher, much higher than we see in other jurisdictions that we operate. And I only mention that insofar as, it's something that we confront as a reality of deploying and expanding our network that, for example, many of our competitors don't, who have the benefit of sort of having legacy existing infrastructure. And, we recognize that is part and parcel in making sure that we meet the requirements of our obligations when we do deploy into metro right-of-ways.
If you'll pardon me. So again, if you could just specifically say, Google is in Louisville, we pay them this much. And then also, if you're asserting that our permit fees are much, much higher, then please give us a comparison in a peer city. Their permit fee is this for that, again, so we can talk about apples to apples and actual numbers rather than just kind of saying, I get that every city calculates it differently, but there are some similarities. So if we could talk actual dollar values, please, and actual specific city names. Thank you.
Sure, that's no problem. Although, Council Member, we might need to get back to you on the actual dollar fees because we are in different metros. But for example, two that I have to hand is we operate in Salt Lake City, where I will say the network is much larger than our current footprint in Nashville. And that fee is closer to $70,000. It's just a little bit underneath that for what we expect to pay in the financial year for 2020. We are also in other cities, for example, in Irvine, over in California, and we pay a little over $50,000 in that metro. But the two things I would say, so hopefully that answers the council member's question, but what I would say is that because our fee in Nashville is based on the size of our network footprint and that volumetric calculation, we absolutely hope that with this franchise in place that we are able to accelerate the speed of our deployment and therefore the size of our encroachment on Metro's right-of-way, and the way in which the council code is built is that our fee should then grow as it is reassessed over time. And it really does reflect, and I really do understand, the potential question of, well, that seems like a small number to us. And the reality is that our network is smaller than we want it to be today. And as we grow that footprint, it should become commensurate with the existing structure as we continue to deploy and increase that volumetric occupancy in the right-of-way.
If the chairman might interject here just a minute, Ms. Costonis was on here earlier, who's been negotiating this contract for Metro through legal department. Is there anything that you would like to add to this particular discussion on the fee? I know you had negotiated that.
Mr. Chairman, I'm glad to speak to it. This is Teresa Costonis with legal. I think Mr. Smith has been pretty accurately characterizing it. The lawsuit that he previously referenced that our current fee structure kind of comes out of was a litigation with XO Communications and TCG Teleport, and we resolved that lawsuit with XO, and the resolution was for them to pay us a franchise fee of $60,000 a year. As Mr. Smith characterized, that is based on the extent of their facilities in Metro's public rights of way. Subsequent to that, we have based franchise fees with other franchisees, other grantees under this code chapter on that $60,000 number by doing a comparison of the extent of the applicant's facilities with XO Communications, the extent of their facilities, and they had a rather large system. So, for example, comparing Google Fibers to theirs, Google Fibers is about a quarter of the size of XO Communications. So the $15,000 number being about a quarter of the $60,000 number works out about right. I don't know if that answers your question. I'm glad to talk about it at more length if you need it.
Thank you, Ms. Costonis. Does that answer all your questions for the moment, Councilmember Henderson?
Yes, sir, it does. I'll defer to other colleagues as the other hands raised. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess my question principally is maybe a follow-up to Councilmember Henderson's. I know a lot of the financial implications of the franchise fee were covered in the Budget and Finance Committee. Here, I'm, I guess, particularly interested in the infrastructure question. So one quick question is, has Google Fiber abandoned altogether an infrastructure approach? I mean, we're no longer looking at a deployment in any way involving utility poles. And then two, I guess, is related, right? If with what appears, and I understand Councilmember Henderson's point that this might be perception-based, but if this franchise fee appears relatively low for access to infrastructure. I mean, you know, if we're going forward with a micro trenching or, you know, similar related approach to infrastructure, is Google Fiber, and I guess this is a joint question for Google Fiber and the Public Works Department, is Google Fiber covering the entire cost there? Including the restoration, including things like I'm aware, sadly, of several subcontractor incidents related to Google Fiber where water mains were broken, those kinds of things. Is that all paid for by Google Fiber and its contractors?
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to go first, at least on the Google Fiber piece, but of course would defer to Public Works if they would like to go first on the answer.
Go ahead. We'll get Public Works next.
Sure. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Council Member, for your follow-up question as well. So the methodology that Metro came together with, what we understood is an all-encompassing cost. However, when we do have specific instances, like, for example, you know, we try our very best through locates and our safety practices to avoid hitting other pieces of infrastructure, but in reality, it is unfortunately part of the build sometimes. And when we do hit, you know, whether it's a water main, whether it's another provider, those costs are borne by us, you know, in terms of restoration and doing the make right costs. The permit fee applications, together with the franchise fee that we would pay under this new franchise, should compensate Metro for its direct costs of operating in the rights of way. But wherever we are at fault for creating an issue, including with something like tree trimming, for example, those costs are borne by Google Fiber, as we would say they should be.
Thank you. Mr. Honeysucker spoke to this issue in the Finance Committee meeting. Do you want to add anything here, John?
Sorry about that. I couldn't get my button to click off. Just to reiterate what I said previously, if there are damages that are done by any, whether it be Google or any type of contractor, we still require them to, if it's a water main or sewer line, we still require them to reimburse us for the time put into it, the infrastructure, and any other costs that are occurred during that process. So there are no exceptions to the rules with that. We still apply the same methodology when it comes to collections of the funds, and with that same process, and we document that. Our finance director, Amanda D. Moyer, keeps a spreadsheet, an active spreadsheet of any and all accidents that transpire within Davidson County.
Councilmember O'Connell, the floor is yours again.
I think that principally answers my question. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Gosh, that's been such a great conversation. I forgot whether we've moved this or not. Yes, we did. I got 2 check marks here. Without any more discussion, we'll hold a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, so we approve 8-0. Or is that 9-0 now? I'm sorry. 9-0 now. Thank you. Next on the agenda, Bill number 2020-403, Parker, Toombs, and others, amends Metro Code of Laws relative to sidewalk cafes and the Metro Code relative to retail sales and storage of beer. It's, do we have a motion?
So moved.
A motion, a second?
Second.
Second. Council Member Parker, are you here?
Yes, I am, Chair.
You wish to speak to your bill?
Yes, I would. Thank you. So this bill was a result of conversations I had with small business owners in the East Nashville community, sort of about finding ways that we could, within the context of safe social distancing and reduced capacity, allow them to seat some more customers, to kind of provide some opportunity for people to better weather this kind of unprecedented situation. So I began talking with, departments, public works, codes, others about this. And what I found was that there was sort of a parallel effort from the administration to accomplish very similar things. And, my initial concern going into this was I don't want to create a situation where something is, very cumbersome or unenforceable for our departments that we know are already working very hard to deal with the level of inspections and permits and whatnot that they have. So I was really pleased to find that the administration was also working on sort of a parallel effort here. And what I'm hoping we can do with this bill, first of all, I'd like to put the substitute up for recommendation from this committee at some point, and that's on page 23 of the amendments and substitutes packet. And I would also, I would move to pass this on second reading, although we're going to probably look to have a substitute in coordination with the administration's efforts on third reading. And now this bill would need a suspension of the rules in order to be amended or substituted on third reading. The reason that I think we should consider that as a body is that this would allow us to get this program and this expanded outdoor seating for our small businesses in a shorter time frame than if we were to push second off. And if the committee thinks that it's prudent, I would be happy to re-refer that on third reading, the substitute, to this committee as well as public safety and alcoholic beverages. So I guess my motion here is can we consider the substitute? Which the substitute in essence allows businesses to utilize some of their private parking spots, so not public right-of-way, some of their private parking spots, but not their ADA spots, not their handicap spots, to provide additional seating if they're under an existing capacity reduction due to a public health order. So I guess I'm open to questions or discussion, or Chair, how should we proceed?
Director Cooper, I suspect we're at a point where we just may have someone move the substitute.
Yes, sir.
Do we have someone who wishes to move the substitute?
Move substitute.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we moved the bill yet, but either way, I'll second.
Okay. Substitute. So discussion on the substitute. Committee members?
Chair, this is Councilmember Bradford. I have a question. I don't know if it's for this. I assume it's on the bill as substituted, if that's what we're discussing. What about businesses that may not have parking? So, for example, Lower Broadway, the only place to park is on the street. So would this bill allow some of those businesses to put up tables and whatnot on the sides of Broadway in those parallel parking spots?
Thank you for that question. So the provision about private parking specifically is related only to private parking. So if you don't have private parking spaces at your business, that provision would not apply to you. And so what the mechanism by which we're expanding seating into the public right-of-way is by broadening the scope of the existing sidewalk cafe permit system. And I'm not sure if that existing system allows for utilization of the street parking portion of the public right-of-way. Is there anyone here from Public Works, or would Director Cooper happen to know the answer to that question?
This is John Cooper. The code section applicable to sidewalk cafe permits is applicable within the public right of way. It's not limited just to sidewalks. So Public Works would have the authority, assuming, Broadway's a little different because it's a state route, and so there may have to be some involvement with the state. I'm not sure how all that works. But it's not limited to the sidewalk.
Thank you. Councilmember Bradford, does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you so much.
Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just was going to request that the sponsor actually either shut down the cafe he's begun operating out front of my house, or at least cut me in on a revenue share.
Okay, Councilmember Henderson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to thank Councilman Parker for bringing this bill. I know that Councilman O'Connell and I, in my previous capacity and in coordination with the Nashville Civic Design Center and the mayor's office, had held the initial meeting to kind of engage this space, how we might use on-street parking, sidewalks, parking lots to do just this. And so I appreciate him very much bringing it. I think I've signed on. If I haven't, I intend to. But I did want to inquire. I appreciate the clarification on the on-street parking, because there was, I think, some concern that, two things were kind of operating relatedly, but in different parts of the code. So I appreciate Mr. Cooper's clarification. There was also some concern when we were speaking with Civic Design Center and some of the downtown partnership businesses, and wanting to make sure that, it could extend like into Councilman O'Connell's district, Salem Town, Germantown, your area, East Nashville, that for some part of the code particular to on-street parking, but again, we didn't have the code in front of us during that time, so maybe Mr. Cooper can further clarify that we had sort of a high impact zone or a defined codified zone downtown that didn't quite include like East Nashville, and so that those were being done kind of on a case-by-case basis as folks like Lachlan Table had reached out to Public Works, and they had worked together successfully, so we appreciate staff on that on kind of an as-needed basis. But can someone on staff or Mr. Cooper speak to if there's anything we need to do from a code perspective, or Mr. Parker, you may already know, to make sure that this is applicable, to any and all businesses, East Nashville, Uzio, Suburbia, like that this really can touch and reach all of our small businesses to their benefit.
Yeah, so the ordinance actually, the sidewalk permit right now, cafe permit, is limited to downtown. This bill extends throughout the jurisdiction of Metro.
Thank you for clarifying.
Council Lady Benedict.
Thank you, Chair. I really appreciate the sponsor bringing this bill, and I'm planning to sign on as a co-sponsor. I don't think that I have yet, but our small businesses, especially our restaurants, have been hit so hard, and we continue to see press about our small businesses and our artists and our artisans. Anything that we can do to help these folks, any resources or that we can provide them. I know that we have all been focused on that, and this bill is going to create some real opportunity for our folks to safely. It's very important that we're safe in this. And at one point, I had a bill that was similar, but it was not this in particular, but it was about social distancing while being out and about in the city. And it didn't make sense the way it was written, and then things got out of control. I really appreciate that this bill gives good guidelines, regulations, and that, again, it will really help our small businesses in and around the city, especially here in District 7. So thank you. And again, I support this bill and am planning to sign on as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to clarify, I have a note, I think, that says that this is specifically spelled out to be through January of 2021, which seems like a good idea. Can somebody confirm that that's correct and that it's in the substitute?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion on the substitute? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? 9-0. Does the substitute carry the bill as such, Mr. Cooper?
Now we need approval as substituted.
Okay. Do we have any more discussion before we move on to approving the bill as substitute? Seeing none, all those in favor? I'm sorry?
I was moving approval. Aye.
Move to approve in a second?
Second.
Okay. All those no discussion again, looking here, don't see any. All those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? No. 9-0 in favor. Thank you. Next bill, Bill 2024-08, Syracuse, Hager, and others, accepts agreement. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that was on the consent agenda. We're down to our last bill. Bill number 2024-21, Mendez, Pulley, and others. Amends Title 10, Title 13, Title 15, Title 16 to permit the Nashville Fire Department, Marshal's Office, Fire Marshal's Office, Metro Public Works, Metro Water Services, and Metro Codes to enforce emergency health orders. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved and second? Second. Any of the sponsors wish to speak?
This is Pulley. Mr. Chair, I'm happy to give a brief explanation of the bill if you'd like.
I would like.
Okay, all right. So basically, in a nutshell, what this does is it allows 4 other departments to enforce this mandate, and they would be Codes, Public Works, Metro Water, and the Fire Marshal. And the whole purpose is they all issue unique permits, and they all can enforce basically different issues within their lanes. So what this simply does is allows them to use what's within their lane to enforce by withholding the respective permits for which they're all responsible for issuing. So example would be they would basically issue a stop work order for their respective permits if these things are violated. There's also an appeal process, and the appeal process goes to the relevant board with respect to the permits for each department. So that's kind of the nutshell version of what we're talking about here. And I'll yield to any questions that you're.
Thank you, Councilmember Pulley. Any discussion on this? I'm looking for hands. I see no hands. Going once, twice, 3 times. Looks like we're ready for a vote. All those in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. 0, no abstentions. Being none, 4-0 against approval.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, committee members. I'm sure that's not as smooth as I hope to get going forward, but thank you for your indulging me in this meeting. I have not chosen a vice chair yet, but I intend to do so before the next meeting. And anybody who is wanting to do so, please email me, let me know. I'm also going to have a meeting with the vice mayor later this week, and so after that, I'll go forward. But thank you, and we're adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.net.